Greetings and salutations to one and all. Welcome to the night shift. How you doing? It's a brand new week right here on the night shift to DJ Kevin Steele. Tonight we do a thing we call community and finance. I want to say big ups to everybody locked in right now.
Problems to sleep at night. I tell them I love me so good. The music hot like a true love. Bring your body, come on out here. Move your body just like you don't care. We jamming it so sweet. Feel the rhythm, feel the heat. Bring your waist from walk to the soca. All our ways just jam together. I tell them it's so sweet. Feel the rhythm, feel the heat. And bring your waist from walk to the soca. All our ways just jam together. I tell them it's so nice. Change your mind and don't think twice.
Wanna officially say greetings and salutations to each and everyone locked in right now. Those tuning on TuneIn Radio, the night shift to DJ Kevin Steele. Those on One Harmony Radio out of the UK, top of the morning to you. All those who are locked in on NIE Radio out of New Jersey. Their neighbors, Island Worldwide. Out of New York, want to say big ups to you guys up there. I'm sure things are nicing up in New York, temperature wise. I haven't checked it recently. I want to say big ups to those who are locked in on WGLRO out of Texas. WGLR is the home of the Donnie Walker Morning Show, taking it from the sheets to the streets. I want to say big ups to those on ClintonLindsay.com, the Foundation Radio Network. Those locked in on Olliwap and Dusick Media Group. Big ups to you. Those watching on PEMGTV.com. Big ups to all my neighbors. Yeah man, come on over. Invite him to call a friend, tell a friend. Call an enemy, call the friends of your enemies and the enemies of your friends. It's a night shift to DJ Kevin Steele, Community and Finance Night. I want to say big ups to those who are locked in on Facebook Live. Share, share, share. And tell everybody, come on over here. Before we get into the meat of the matter, I want to take a moment and say thank you to my segment sponsors. Thank you, Paul C Media Group. When being in the moment is priceless. For innovative streaming and recording solutions, you want to give them a call. They can handle and take care of everything that you want stream-wise. You have an event you want to stream live, church service, funeral, graduation, seminar, party, you name it. They can handle that for you. Give them a call, 754-999-6020, or check them out on paulcmg.com. They can even put your stream on your website. Yeah man, tell them DJ Kevin Stew sent you. I want to say thank you to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands. Althea is a licensed massage therapist, 20 years of experience, and she comes to you with her table, her oils, Healing Heavenly Hands, of course, and she comes COVID free, and she'd like to leave that way. So if you're in Broad County, North Miami-Dade, and South Palm Beach counties, give her a call. 954-655-9000. You can also email her at thealater@att.net. And I'll say congratulations again, Althea, on your personal training certification. So you see, I have it real good right about now. My massage therapist, I can be my fitness trainer. And when I'm aching in pain, she can massage it out. Go ahead and see if she can hook you up. I want to say thanks to Reggae Global Entertainment too. Reggae Global can take care of your bookings, handle your tour management, take care of your publishing, your business registration, legal service referrals, music production, marketing and promotion, and more. Give them a call, 954-998-8034. Or visit them online, reggaeglobalentertainment.com. Also, I want to say thank you to gmatmusicsolutions.com. GMAT Music Solutions brings your events to life, providing sound, light, and stage production services, musical equipment, PA systems, audio engineers, DJs, bands, musicians, singers, and more. Give them a call, 754-307-GMAC. That's 754-307-4622. Or check them out online, gmatmusicsolutions.com. The sound of Shelly Sweet Shells. Yeah, it's my neighbor, you know. She lives right here in South Florida. That makes her my neighbor. On the line, holding things down tonight, I have a new neighbor. No, it's not a new neighbor, you know. It's a neighbor I recently met. So it's not a new neighbor. I just recently met them. So coming out of the house down the street, that Lauderhill Police Department, that house, is my neighbor. I'd like to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, the man of the moment, Detective Richard Clarke. Detective, you hearing me?
Hello?
There you are. How are you, sir?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Are you hearing me?
I'm I am hearing you, but you're not entirely clear. There's a lot of static.
Okay. Let me see if I can fix that for you. Let me reach under here. All right. Can you hear me now?
It's a bit better.
Just a
Still
bit?
static.
That is so strange. Okay. How are we now?
With a strain, I can hear you. I'll do my best.
No, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it.
The static is gone,
Okay. And you're hearing me much better now, right?
and I'm now sound like I'm echoing.
No, we're gonna fix that too.
Maybe I can hang up and call you back if you can hear
Oh
me.
no. Here we go. Better?
Let me try. If you can hear me, I'm going to hang up. And
I'm
I'm gonna
hearing
call
you.
again.
You're not hearing me? Okay, go ahead. All right. So the gremlins are visiting tonight. So as the gremlins visit, we can handle that and take care of that aspect of the business. Okay, are you there again? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me? I think you're not hearing me, you know. You hearing me? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, you hearing me now?
Oh, I'm hearing you much better now. What was happening there?
I don't know, but I'm hearing you loud and clear.
I'm hearing you loud and clear too, my brother.
Perfect. Everything was fine this past weekend, but that's how the gremlins work.
I hear you.
Detective Richard Clarke of the Lauderhill Police Department. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I feel all of a sudden I'm just warm back here in the studio. I don't know. It was really cool before, but now it's really warm. Thank goodness there are some people in the studio that I can beg to turn on this fan for me. So
it must be my warm personality.
I think that is what it is. It is your warm personality that is making things different in here, because it was quite fine. It's a beautiful day in South Florida. Wind, a nice little breeze. If I had a kite, I'd fly it, kind of a thing. But
yes,
we'll make do. We'll make do. Thank you much for coming to hang out with us tonight. And
thank you for having me.
So, because you're new to the family, I'd like for you to please introduce yourself.
Well, as you already know, my name's Richard Clarke. I currently serve with Lauderhill Police Department. I've been with Lauderhill for about 7.5 years. I am a detective. I am the fraud investigator for Lauderhill. My past experience, very briefly, I've had nearly 29 years in police service, 16.5 years in the United Kingdom with the Metropolitan Police Service, and 5 years with the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, and now here in Florida.
So, let me see. 7 years here, 16 years in the UK.
Yes, sir. 16.5.
Okay, 16.5 in the UK.
Can't be sort the half. Can't be sort the half.
And 5 in Cayman.
Yes, sir.
So, let me do this math right. So, 12 between South Florida and Cayman.
Yeah.
Plus 16.5. That's 28.5 years of policing.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Pays the bills, man. Pays the bills.
But apparently it does more than just paying the bills because you're in it after
Yeah,
all, growing up to or touching 30 years.
yeah,
So and you decided to do it in not just one place. You did it in 3 different countries.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the transition was, yeah, it was my choice, or myself and my family's choice. I mean, when I was in the UK, um, the decision to move was because primarily the warm weather. Even
Mm.
though I grew up in England, but I grew up in Jamaica, so I
Okay.
always wanted an opportunity to move back to this side of the Atlantic, and that opportunity presented itself in 2005 when the Cayman Islands Police, which is a British territory, they were looking for experienced officers to join their ranks. And
Gotcha.
so it was a major decision I made with my wife, and decided that I would apply, and I was successful. I was a detective at the time in the UK, and the position of being a patrol officer was offered. And I thought, you know what, I don't think I'm going to be in patrol that long. So I applied, I got through, and then we moved to the Cayman Islands, and it was great. Back in the Caribbean, and I'm still this side of the Atlantic.
Nice. Let me before we get into the meat of the matter for tonight.
Yeah,
In the UK, were you policing with a gun?
no, no.
So go ahead.
No, as a rule, I mean, even to today, generally officers don't carry firearms in the UK. I suspect that the that has transitioned over the years since I've left. I mean, I haven't been back. Well, I haven't. I left the police in 2005.
Right.
And leading up until then, there were more officers carrying firearms in response to the increasing shooting incidents. But as a rule, when I joined in 1989, we had 28,000 officers in the London Metropolitan. Um, when I left, it was about 30,000, and the majority we don't carry firearms.
So
No.
what was it like moving from no firearm to, well, in the Cayman Islands, were you carrying a
Sa-
firearm?
Same thing in the Cayman Islands. I used the firearm because I was on the drugs task force in the Cayman,
Got you.
which you'd have to book out a firearm and return it when you finish your shift.
Oh,
So
okay.
the drug task force would need to be carrying firearms. But as a rule, again, the Cayman Islands police is again patterned off the British
British.
policing system. So yeah, they don't carry firearms either, as a rule.
So now skipping across and coming to the United States,
Right.
what was that like moving from what was it called,
None
Billy Club to
baton to, yeah, to the
yeah.
firearm. It was a challenge. It was challenging. Um, I remember when I first was handling the firearm in training school I was about to say Hendon, that's in England,
Mm,
at the Broward College.
yeah.
Um, the palms of my hands were always sweating profusely, and I remember the trainer telling me that the gun isn't going to break because it would fall out of my hand because I was sweating so much. Trust me. Um, and they would be watching me very closely because I was nervous with the firearm. But I am glad to say today I'm very proficient. Um, but yeah, initially it was a challenge.
Got you. I can just imagine. It's a little bit of a twist, you
It
know.
was, yes, yes.
And you know you a bulletproof vest is a part of a police officer's regular uniform.
It is certainly. It is certainly. I mean, that became the case in the UK too, because you'd have a lot of knifing incidents, stabbings
Oh,
in the
right.
UK. So
And
you
yeah,
would
the
still
vest
be
does work
required.
with those too.
Exactly.
Yes.
But those vests were made to deal with knives as opposed to
Bullets.
bullets. So
Right.
they were different type of material.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So thank you for that little trip around the globe.
you're welcome, sir.
Now, here you are in South Florida, in a community that is predominantly Caribbean and African American.
Yes.
What's your role in the police department in Lauderhill?
Currently, I am a detective, and my crime category is fraud. Detectives are assigned crime categories.
Right.
You may have more than one dealing with a particular crime category, and in my case, yes, I'm the fraud investigator. However, we all help each other, so
Mm-hmm.
it overlaps. If there's different crime categories we have to deal with, but we all help each other. But my crime category predominantly is fraud,
Got you.
or exclusively is fraud.
Got you. Now, you are here hanging out with us tonight as a little bit of a spin-off from last month's chat with
Yes.
Lieutenant Mike Santiago. And as always, I want to big up the Lauderhill Police Department, big up to Chief Stanley for affording us this opportunity to have this connection.
Yes, thank you.
Now, so for those who are new, this happens every month. The second Monday of every month, Lauderhill Police Department is represented in some way, shape, or form right here on the night shift with DJ Kevin Stewart, Community and Finance. Now, this is a spin-off from last month where we were looking at warrants and policing government buildings. And
Okay.
you were handed the baton, so to speak, to carry on a little bit of a discussion as it pertains to warrants.
Yes.
Now, with you in specializing in fraud, would the warrant system, the warrant process, from the moment you start to seek the warrant to the moment you serve it,
Yes.
if you do the serving, is the process the same regardless of the type of warrant?
Yeah, the process would be the same. Yes.
Perfect. So walk us through that process, because we know of 2 incidents in the last 2 years where officers are serving a warrant and there is gunfire and officers are injured, or
Yes.
someone gets injured. Let me just say that someone gets injured, whether it is fatally or not fatally injured, but somebody gets injured.
Yes.
Walk us through the process from beginning to end when it comes to warrants, please.
Well, first and foremost, in order to even consider applying for a warrant, and let me just explain what a warrant is.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, a warrant is a document that is issued to, it's a legal document that's issued to a government official, which I would be, or a police officer would be, or authorizing the police or some other body to make an arrest or to search premises. When I say make an arrest, it means it's an arrest warrant,
Mm-hmm.
or to search premises, which means it's a search warrant,
Gotcha.
and then to carry out those actions. And that has to be signed off by a judge. So before you even consider applying for a warrant, either arrest or search,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have probable cause, which means you have to have evidence beyond reasonable grounds to affect that arrest or that search. And in order to have that warrant granted, you have to satisfy the judge with that probable cause,
Mm-hmm.
with reasons for him or her to say, "Yeah, I'm going to sign off on that warrant. I'm satisfied you have the probable cause." We call, in short, PC, and they will sign off. So, step one is you need probable cause.
Okay.
Once you establish probable cause, and let's focus on an arrest warrant.
Mm-hmm.
Once you establish probable cause to arrest someone, you can't find the person and you just want to um, have an arrest warrant authorized. Once you have the probable cause, you have to write out what is called an affidavit, and it's a sworn affidavit. So when you're preparing an arrest warrant or application for an arrest warrant, you are what is called an affiant. In other words, you're the person who's applying for the warrant,
Gotcha.
and you're swearing that the information that you're putting in that warrant to justify it to be signed by a judge is true and correct. So you have what is called an information which details all of the circumstances which supports your probable cause. And then you have an affidavit, which is a separate document where you swear that what you're saying in your information is the truth. So it's a very serious requirement, and you are expected to obviously give all the information that you think is necessary or to support the application. So once you do that, it has to be signed off by your superior. So I'll be at Lauderhill PD,
All right.
and I'll decide that I have PC to arrest John Brown, and I'll write out my warrant. I have to have someone at the rank of a lieutenant to authorize, to read through it and to review it and say, "Yep, I'm happy with it. I'm going to sign off on it." And basically, they're just witnessing or saying that they have read through, and they're just supporting the application. Once that's done, you have to give it to a state attorney, assistant state attorney, for him or her to review it. And what he or she will do is satisfy themselves that you have all the legal requirements and the evidence to present that warrant to the judge. So a state attorney will review, and they will determine if you have all the elements necessary for your probable cause. So let's say, for example, let's do the fraud, for example. I may say, I believe John Brown is responsible for stealing the money from an ATM machine.
Okay.
Well, the question would be, how do you know it's John Brown?
Mm-hmm.
So I need to satisfy the judge that I know it's John Brown. I'm not just saying it's John Brown because I feel it's John Brown, or I don't like John Brown, or I just need someone to arrest. I have to satisfy the judge that John Brown is the person who took the money from the ATM machine. So there's a couple of considerations evidentially. One, video surveillance.
Okay.
Or two, someone recognized John Brown and said, "I saw John Brown."
So a witness.
A witness.
Gotcha.
So that, even if you have video surveillance, you still have to identify that it's John Brown. So I can't just look at a video and see John Brown and say, I'm going to apply for an arrest warrant. I have to have what is called a live witness who can look at the video and say, I recognize that to be John Brown.
Okay.
So once you have your PC, you obviously prepare it and give it to a state attorney. The state attorney satisfies him or herself or reviews it. and then they say, "Yep, you're good to go." Then you contact a judge, and you present it to the judge. Now, there's one of two ways you can present it to the judge. You can either physically stand before a judge and give the warrant, and he or she may ask you a couple of questions, and you sign off. He or she will sign off on it, or you can send it to a judge electronically.
All right.
And the judge can review it and decide, "Yep, I'm happy," and sign off.
All right. So before you go on from that point, I want to I want to take you back to the first part of this with the probable cause. And before that, I want to say sayonara to those on Facebook Live. Use the link that you see in the comments. It's pinned in the comments. Come on over and join the rest of the family over on PEMG TV, which would be the equivalent of kevinstew.com for now. Join in the chat over there. Post your comments there, your questions. Also, you can contact through text on 773-789-STEW, 773-789-7839. And, of course, there is the chat room. So, Facebook Live deuces to you. Come on over. Use the link in the chat description. And we'll continue this there. Until tomorrow, when you get another segment, deuces to you on Facebook Live. All right, so going back to the probable cause.
Yes.
In getting or in satisfying this probable cause, you said, in your example, you gave the video, you gave the live witness.
Yes.
Typically, that is not something that happens just overnight. So you're saying there is some investigative work that goes on in the process, and it could take a little bit of time before you get from that first point of being presented with a crime,
yes,
to the point where you're presenting a judge. Well, before you're writing up the warrant.
Yes.
Now, in this satisfying the probable cause phase, then this is pretty much where a bunch of the preliminary detective work takes place. Yes?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So I just wanted to make sure that we have an understanding of that part of it.
And let me just add that to develop probable cause doesn't only require a detective. It could be a patrol officer,
yeah, but investigative work has to happen.
But investigative work has to take place. So it could be as short as 5-10 minutes. It could be as long as 5-10 weeks.
Got you. All right. I just wanted to make sure of the probable cause,
yes,
satisfying the probable cause. But it doesn't end with the satisfaction of the probable cause, because the warrant is there to carry on something more. Whether it be, if it's a search warrant, it is for you to search for more. It's an arrest warrant. It means that you've done some searching. And
right.
Now you have enough proof to make an arrest.
Correct.
Okay,
and
cool.
Let me also add that you have warrantless arrests. So it's not every arrest you need a warrant, because you can have probable cause on a street corner and arrest the person without having a warrant.
Okay, so that will be getting into another broadcast.
Exactly.
In making the arrest, which we actually addressed that with Chauncey.
Okay.
Good. Did we? I have to think back now. I know we did investigating the scene.
Okay.
And we touched on arrests in that. In doing an investigation to lead up to an arrest. So we touched on arrests in that.
Okay, great.
So, yes, there are warrantless arrests. Because, as a police officer, you catch someone in the act of doing something illegal, that warrants an arrest. So there's not much that needs to be done for that. It kind of speaks for itself.
Correct.
Cool. So you have now presented the judge with your warrant for, is it at this point, is it a warrant or is it an application for a warrant?
It's an application for a warrant,
Got you.
but it is described as a warrant, but it essentially is an application because the judge has to approve or authorize it. So you're
Okay.
really applying to the judge.
Okay. So you've presented the application to the warrant to the judge, whether personally or electronically.
Yes,
In more, I guess, in these times, it has been more electronic than personal.
yes.
Then what?
Then the judge will review it. His or her responsibility is to satisfy themselves that it meets all the legal requirements. When I say it meets all legal requirements, it basically probable cause is established and satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Once the judge is satisfied of that, he or she will normally sign off and say, yes, I'm authorizing the search warrant or the arrest warrant. And then he or she will give it back to you. And you, for example, a search warrant, you will have, I think it's, up to 10 days to execute that search warrant.
Mm.
So, for example, if I have an address, 25 Nomad Land,
Mm-hmm.
and I apply for a search warrant for that address,
Yes.
I have to detail in the search warrant what I'm searching for. You can't just apply for a search warrant open-endedly. I'm searching for anything. No, you have to be specific. So, for example, if you're being specific in regard to the probable cause,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be specific as to what you are looking for, which is linked or directly associated with the probable cause. So, for example, Mr. A stabs Mr. B.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. A runs from the scene and is seen to run into house. And you know, maybe Mr. A is not in the house, or maybe he is in the house, but you know you're looking for Mr. A and you're looking for the knife.
Right.
So the warrant specifically should indicate that you're looking for Mr. A, and maybe also Mr. A may be wearing a red shirt, a yellow hat, and a pink pants.
Colorful character he is.
Clothing. So those are distinctive type clothing.
Right.
So you're going to be looking for Mr. A. You're looking for the knife. You're looking for the clothing. I can't remember the colors I just gave you, but you're looking for the clothing.
Red shirt.
Exactly.
Pink pants.
Yes.
Yellow hat.
So, yes. So I'm glad you took that down. But so basically, you're looking for those specific items and that specific person, which has the nexus with the stabbing of Mr. B.
Right.
So when you prepare your search warrant, those are listed in the warrant. You're going to explain to the judge why those are listed in the warrant, why that's in the warrant, why you want those items. And the judge, when reading that, will understand you have probable cause to arrest Mr. A because Mr. A has been identified by Joe Bloggs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one. Number two, Joe Bloggs saw Mr. A use a knife. Plus, Mr. B said, he doesn't have to say, Mr. B has stab wounds. He's on the hospital bed, and he said, Mr. A stabbed me. So you have that. And Mr. B says he was wearing XYZ. The witness says XYZ. So all of that has to be put into your warrant. Everything.
Okay.
So it satisfies the judge that you have conducted as intensive as an investigation as you can, and you have provided all the evidence to support the application for that warrant to go to that house and search, one for A, Mr. A, and two for all the clothing and the knife.
Okay, so this is by no means just a single sheet of paper that is being submitted at a simple form that you just fill in the blanks here, here, and here, and pass it on to the state attorney, representative, or the assistant state attorney, um, and get a judge to sign off on it, and then you go about your business.
No, and let me also say, if you don't mind,
Sure.
I think it's important for our listeners to understand. Sometimes you have witnesses who are held at a scene for a very long time, or they feel is a very long time, and they wonder, why am I still here? Why am I not allowed to leave?
Right.
And we as police officers have a responsibility, as much as we are allowed to let our witnesses, our victims, know what we're doing, why we're doing it, without divulging information that could compromise the investigation. But at the very least, it's important that we inform our witnesses and victims. And it's important that even our witnesses, sometimes they're sitting there for hours and they don't know what's going on. Well, it's important that we inform them as to why they're there as long. Because a lot of the time, the investigation involves and I'm diverting a bit, but not very long. Examining a crime scene, looking for evidence, and also a lot of the time it involves maybe applying for a search warrant. So, for example, if there's a car that's involved in a crime, we can't just go into the car and search for a weapon that may have been used. We have to apply for a search warrant. And it takes preparing it, gathering all the evidence, presenting it before a judge reading it maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, read it, or you got to give it to a state attorney, wake her up, him up. They got to review it. They say, yeah, get it to the judge, wake him or her up. And, the clock just ticks. But that sometimes takes a while.
So this thing that we see on TV where an officer is on a scene and pulls someone over, wants to search their vehicle, they say that's unless you have a warrant, and they get on the phone.
Yes.
That happens in real life?
They'll get on the phone and speak to a colleague, and he or she may go to the police department and start typing out a search warrant. But that phone call is going to have to detail why you want that warrant and go into detail as to what you're looking for. And that's where it's important that detectives work in teams and help each other, because it's a lot of moving parts in investigations. Let me also add very quickly, sometimes you may want to search a vehicle and you may have the owner of the vehicle who may say, you can search the vehicle, and they'll sign a waiver of a search warrant. So in other words, what they'll do is say, you don't have to go to the judge to apply for a search warrant. I will give you permission. It's my car, and I'm allowing you to go into the car. So they have to sign a waiver, but they have to understand what it is they're authorizing the investigator to do.
That sounds like another area to touch on.
That's another area. But again, so it's always better to get a search warrant signed by a judge, because you don't want to open yourself to intimidating people or people feeling pressured to allow you to search their whatever.
Right.
So it's always we always opt for getting a judge to authorize a search of a house, a car, whatever.
Okay, so here we are now. So the thing on TV where a vehicle is pulled over, they ask and they say, and the driver or the owner of the vehicle says, you can't do anything without a warrant. Or you go to a house that someone is suspected of running. I think this is a different scenario. So you're chasing a suspect.
Yes.
They run into a house.
Yes.
The owner of the house says, you cannot come in here without a warrant. But while chasing the suspect, they ran into this house. Can you still go in?
They are occasions where you will be allowed to go into the house without a warrant, and that those are what are called exigent circumstances. The Florida state statute allows it's called exigent circumstance, where, for example, let me think. Let's say there is an imminent danger to someone in the house. Let's say, I don't know, boyfriend is upset with girlfriend, and he has his gun. He says he's going to kill his girlfriend, and the police are informed. And before we know who he is, and we see him with the gun, and he says, I'm going to go and kill her, and he runs into the house, and you are satisfied that he is going to harm the girlfriend who's in the house. You can go in and break down that door. You can run in, and you don't need a warrant, because there's an imminent threat to someone's life.
Gotcha.
So that's a kind of a stretch of an example, but
no, well, the example, the scenario that I created, where you're chasing someone. It could have been someone involved in an armed robbery, whether it is a weapon related incident, knife or gun, machete even, whatever, but a weapon is involved. Yes. They're running through a community. They dip into a house.
Yes.
So you know that it's a violent act that took place that led to this chase.
Yes.
And does this fall under exigent circumstance?
Not necessarily.
But I would think that would be clear cut.
Not necessarily, because if I'm not sure that there's someone in that house who is in imminent danger, or there is evidence that may be destroyed, then I can't just run into the house for that person. I then have to stand back and apply for a warrant, a search warrant, to go into that house and get that person.
Even though you know for a fact that this person perpetrated this act, this violent act, and is running from you, and go into this house?
Yeah, because the exigent circumstance that I'm talking about involves any imminent harm or serious injury that's going to be inflicted on someone else. So if the suspect commits a crime outside and then runs into the house, and you're not satisfied that there's someone in the house that may be close to injury or death as a result of the person running in the house with the weapon, then you can stand back and control the house, because that person is not leaving, and you can get everything together. That person has barricaded himself in the house.
Yes.
Then you have to get a warrant to go in, to force your way in to bring him out. But if you believe that there's someone in the house at the time he runs in, and there is a likelihood of that person sustaining serious injury or loss of life, then you can run in after that person to save that person from being injured seriously or losing his or her life. So that's the exigent. Or if there is evidence that the person is going to evidence that the person is going to destroy having gone into the house,
right,
you can go in to prevent that. So the exigent circumstance is more towards prevention of something you know is imminently going to take place, whether it be destruction of evidence or loss of life or serious injury to someone else.
So if it is someone that is hustling drugs and commits a violent act in a drug deal and dips into this house, with the drugs, now you can go in after them because there's a possibility that they may flush the drugs.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And that is described as hot pursuit. So there has to be a pursuit. So when it says hot pursuit, it doesn't mean warm, it doesn't mean cool, it's hot. So it means that it's something that's right now. So I can't drive up my police car 5 minutes later and told he ran in the house with drugs and then I'm going to go in the house. No, it's like I'm in hot pursuit of the person and he runs in and I'm following because I have that evidence.
So
I know.
it is the possibility of the evidence being destroyed that makes that pursuit a hot pursuit, or
Yes. So and I
otherwise it's
have
just a pursuit.
otherwise it's just a pursuit. Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
So let me, and I have the benefits of the legal guidelines for the Florida State Statute. If you don't mind, I'll just read it.
Not a problem. Please.
It says here, and I'm not cheating, but let me just read it. The courts have recognized two conditions that justify a warrantless entry under this exception: the need to circumvent the destruction of evidence, and the need to prevent the loss of life or serious injury. This exception usually applies when police are pursuing a suspected felon into private property.
Nice. Okay. So that helps. And no, you're not cheating, by the way. You're just driving home a point.
Okay. And that's the legal guidelines in the Florida State Statute.
Which, it's good to know that our police officers are using these guidelines. Because
yes, we should. Yes.
Here's one of my concerns. And I guess this can happen anywhere. In the two cases that I have come across in recent times where police officers have entered a premises with a warrant, where there's injury, one of them was Breonna Taylor.
Yes.
The other is a young lady in Jacksonville, Florida, by the name of Diamonds Ford. And her case is pending right now. She's being, she's accused of attempted murder on a police officer.
Yes.
She is lying in bed with her boyfriend and hears someone breaking into the house. Doesn't hear police officer identify themselves, and she shoots at where the noise is coming from. Runs into the bathroom, jumps on the phone, dials 911, and is saying, "Hey, there's someone breaking into the house." And she's hysterical. Only to hear voices outside the bathroom door saying that this is the police. So this is why I really want to get clarification on the whole obtaining a warrant, why you obtain a warrant, and how this warrant is served. Now, I believe this warrant that they had was a search warrant.
Yes.
Or probably a search. Is there such a thing as a search and arrest warrant? 2 in 1? Or is it two separate?
No. They're two separate.
Okay. So I guess they probably had both. I need to look at the information again. But for those listening on, come next week, we'll have someone to talk about that in its entirety. But so here it is, and this is Jacksonville. This is North Florida. So here it is, Jacksonville Sheriff Office. You know, they're serving this warrant.
Yes.
And this happens. Now, what would cause officers serving a warrant to not identify themselves?
The Florida state statute, as far as I understand, requires an officer to give notice of his or her office and the purpose of his or her presence when executing a search warrant. That is in the Florida state statute again, and I quote, "The police officer who is executing a search warrant or effecting an arrest with or without warrant is, in most instances, required to give notice of his, her office and the purpose of his or her presence." And it goes on to say, Florida courts recognize several exceptions to this announcement requirement, including instances where officers believe that persons within are in imminent peril of bodily harm, or where officers believe that persons within are engaged in activities which indicate that an escape or destruction of evidence is being attempted or would be attempted. So there are generally, the rule is they expect yourself. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is for your own safety. You need to let someone know, hey, I'm a police officer. I'm here. I'm legally granted the authority to be here. Open the door. That's what you're doing. So you want to protect yourself and protect your colleagues. Number two, you also want to protect the individual, because you want to give the individual the opportunity to
do the right thing, basically.
Exactly, do the right thing. You know, you don't want to start a situation that's escalated. You want to give the person opportunity to open the door and let you in, because I have a search warrant. So that's
right.
it. But again, it says there are exceptions. So, for example, if you believe that the person is in there with a pound of cocaine and there's a child, you don't want to announce yourself to give them the opportunity to get rid of the drugs.
Right.
Or announce yourself to give them an opportunity to get rid of, or announce yourself when you know the person's in there to give them an opportunity to possibly escape. So those are exceptions where it is not prudent to announce yourself, because the element of surprise is more important than the other option.
Okay. So, state of Florida says you have to announce yourself. Now, in announcing yourself, in most cases,
yes, yeah.
In this announcing, can it be that you're going to go to the door and knock lightly and say, this is the police and we have a warrant, and then wait a few minutes to see if there's a response? Or do you have to go banging on the door and shouting that this is the police and you have a warrant?
If you are satisfied that any of those exceptions doesn't apply, then you announce yourself so that you can be heard clearly that you have a warrant, you're the police, and you want to enter the premises to come and open the door. If those exceptions do not apply.
Right. So we're assuming that we don't have to think of the exceptions. We need to hand over this warrant. It's a search. Well, I guess it's an arrest warrant, and the probability of the suspect fleeing is little to none. You have the building surrounded, so you announce yourself. In this announcement, does the person have to respond before you go in, or can you go in? after the
Well,
announcement.
well, the reason why you're announcing is for the person to respond to allow you to go in.
So you get no
Um,
response, then what?
if you get no response, then you can force your way in. Um, you can force your way in. There may be reasons why you don't get a response. Maybe someone's in and they don't want to let you in. They don't
Right,
want to respond to the door, or there may be no one at home.
right.
Either way, you have a search warrant, so you can execute it and you can force the door open and go in.
If it's just an arrest warrant, no search warrant, you can do
Oh,
the
no
same thing.
search warrant.
Yeah. If it
If it's just an arrest warrant, I think you would need to be reasonably satisfied that the person you're looking for is in the house.
got you.
And so, leading up to an arrest warrant, you may require surveillance of the property.
Mm-hmm.
It may require some covert operation to satisfy yourself that the person lives there, and is in there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are satisfied the person's in there, you knock on that door, you announce yourself, and there's no answer, you can kick that door in or force that door because you are reasonably satisfied the person's in the house.
Okay, so here you have surveillance needed to take place. So this is an arrest warrant that we're looking at now. Is there
Yeah.
a timeline that is associated with an arrest warrant similar to that of a search warrant?
No. Because the arrest warrant is basically saying you're searching for the subject who you have probable cause to arrest. That may take an hour, that may take a week, that may take 3. So that arrest warrant is always active
Until the arrest is made.
until the arrest is made.
Got you. All right. So, in the case of evidence being destroyed
Yes.
or suspect fleeing in Florida,
Yes.
an officer of the law is required to announce themselves audibly. A
Excluding
whisper,
those
a
yeah.
whisper announcement doesn't work. I just want clarity.
If you're announcing yourself, then you should be heard.
Right.
So a whisper can be.
I just want people to understand. So I try to break it down as simply as possible.
Yes, I understand.
You
try to paint me into a corner.
No, not doing that at all. I just trying to get as much information that as you are allowed to give, because I know that there are things as per processes that
Mm-hmm.
you're not allowed to talk about
Yes.
in the execution of a warrant. So I'm trying to keep it as general as possible, and so avoid the painting in a corner kind of an effect because of
Let me
what you can share.
let me just say, announcing yourself helps doesn't only serve to help the person inside the house. It also helps me,
Right.
because if I announce myself loud enough
Mm-hmm.
that you should hear,
Right.
and you don't open that door, and I have to come in, and things happen that you don't plan for,
Mm-hmm.
that's down on you.
Right.
And also, if neighbors hear the officer announcing himself
Yes.
and something happens that you don't want to happen, and the neighbor says, well, I heard Detective Clarke announce himself,
Right.
that helps me.
Right. Now, here we go and the arrest is made, or you have the warrant, you go to make the arrest, and the person leaves somehow, gets out of that location and goes to another location. Does that same warrant carry over?
The arrest warrant?
So the arrest warrant goes for the person wherever.
Yes.
The search warrant is specific to a particular
Property.
piece of property, whether it be a vehicle or a specific location.
Yes. But let me also add, if the person you're looking for the arrest warrant is in the property and you know he's in there, you need to get a search warrant.
Oh, it can't be just an arrest warrant?
You need to get the search warrant for the person in the house.
Oh. So you need to have both.
So, yeah. No. If you have an arrest warrant for
me.
Richard, for you.
Yeah. So you have the arrest warrant for me.
And I stop you on the street and I believe it's you and I do my checks, I satisfy it's you, and I arrest you and I cuff you and you're gone.
Right.
That's the execution of the arrest warrant on you.
Right.
If you're in a house and I believe I have an arrest warrant for you, I can knock on the door and I can say to the person on the door, I know that you're in the house. I have an arrest warrant for you. And you say, you're not coming in. You're not taking my son tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to step back and apply for a search warrant. So I have to make sure that house is secure, that you can't leave that house because I know you're in there. And I have to go back to a judge and apply for a search warrant. Because that is to allow me to go into the house to find that person.
Got you. Now, let me put a couple more flies into this ointment. An apartment building.
Yeah.
The search warrant is for a specific unit within that building only, or is it for that building and all the units in that building?
So when you say units, you mean like condominiums or apartments?
Yeah.
Okay. No, it has to be for that specific unit. So you can't have... Yeah, it has to be for that specific. So if you go into a complex with 50 units,
yeah,
the warrant isn't for the 50 units. It's for the specific unit you believe your evidence is in, or you're satisfied your evidence is in, or your person is in.
I'm thinking criminals are having a field day with information like this. I'm sorry.
Well,
because I feel bad now getting all this information out, because me as a criminal, I'm going to think, if I'm in an apartment complex, I'm going to make sure that I have friends in a few units, or colleagues, cronies, whomever, in a few units. So you come with a warrant for unit A, and I'm in unit 2A, and I have friends in 5C. I can find a way to street you and come out of that unit and run up to 5A and chill out, 5C and chill out, because you don't have a warrant for that unit.
Yeah, that's correct. With all of this, we have to respect the rights of every individual, every citizen.
Yes.
So we can't just willingly go into properties because we have a hunch that you've moved in from unit A to unit C. I mean, we have to be satisfied that you're in the unit that we're applying for that search warrant for. Listen, we have we have all the time. We will do what we need to do and follow the law,
Yeah.
and we will do what we have to do to ensure that people are brought to justice.
Right.
And you talk about criminals. Obviously, they choose a certain way of life, and they do what they feel they need to do to avoid justice. But we are sworn officers of the law, and we will ensure that as much as possible that justice is brought to those who commit offenses and hurt law-abiding citizens, and we will continue to do that. So we'll do what we have to do.
One of the things I really like what you said is you still respect the rights of an individual, even if they're accused of committing a crime. And as such, there are certain liberties that you won't take in executing a warrant.
No, we should not.
And I really respect that for those that do it.
Yeah,
because we know there are some eager officers that may toe the line just a little bit too much on the other side of the line, but in let's say justification of what is good. Let's put it that way. So it's a not so justified means to a good end. And I'm not saying that the officers are bad people.
Right.
I'm just saying that it in your line of work, it could be easy for something like that to happen. Because me as a police officer, as I'm thinking about it, me as a police officer, it's a good thing that there's training that is involved.
Correct.
I see you as a criminal running into a house and you just committed this crime. You are identified as a person that committed this crime. I am on the scene shortly after you commit this crime and people are pointing you out and you flee into this house. I am thinking, I'm going in after you.
Yeah, and that is the natural instinct that anybody would have. You don't want this person to get away.
Right.
As much as the instinct of the person who is being pursued is to get away and do whatever they need to do to not be apprehended. And we're humans.
Yes.
We're human beings. Police officers are humans. Criminals are humans. And that's why training is important. Listen, I am not sitting here with you tonight telling you that I've got it right all the time. I have made mistakes. I have done things that I regret, not break the law, but you think I could have done this differently. I could have spoken to this person differently. We're humans.
Yes.
But that is why training is so important, but also character is important. And maturity is an important element in doing what we have to do. Now, I'm not saying that, it is important. All these elements, features are important. And that is why the process of recruiting officers is so tedious and time-consuming, and background checks and all this kind of stuff, because you want to find the right candidates who will perform in a manner that is more than normal, really.
When you talk about candidates for to be police officers, law enforcement, I'll probably have to get Chief Stanley back on the broadcast for that one, so that none of y'all end up getting into trouble. Because there is talk of people joining the police force, and they come in having issues. And I know we're straying a little bit off topic here, but people will forgive me. They come into the police force with issues, and because the police force needs people, they take them, and they end up graduating and going out on the street and carrying these issues with them onto the streets. Some of them are violent tendencies, or they're ex-military, but they have war trauma. And by the way, in your 20 plus years, your 28 and a half years, was there any military training before that?
No.
Okay, so you're one of the exceptions.
Yeah.
So there are individuals, as in everywhere else, there are individuals that come with baggage. And I'm not saying that any particular police force is doing it, because individuals may end up with baggage while on the job. They came in fine and they developed whatever on the job.
Yes.
And so now they're operating with these extra baggage, these extra issues that really have no business playing a part in the job, in executing their role as law enforcement. So, it's good to know that the training part happens, and I'm not trying to paint you guys in a corner at any point in time when you're on this broadcast at all. The purpose of this broadcast is actually because I keep hearing how Lauderhill police officers happen to be some of the best officers around town, because the Lauderhill community is saying it. Not just the police officers are saying it, but the Lauderhill community is saying it.
Let me just add something. The and I can only speak of Lauderhill.
Yes.
I know that the recruitment is very stringent, because I know that my chief and the command staff, they want the best for Lauderhill. I can say that 100% with confidence. Mm-hmm. And I can only speak of Lauderhill.
Right.
There are lots of applications, and I know that, they sift through because they're looking for the best to serve the community that we serve. Let me also add that with training, many of the times training is good, but what's an added ingredient to making up the whole police officer is exposure. Mm-hmm. And with the officers, and I can only speak about Lauderhill, right, exposure to the community. That's why there is that community policing kind of thrust, because you get to know the people you serve.
Right.
And by doing that, you can understand the different dynamics, the different attitudes, the different views, the difference in the community we serve. And exposure has a great role in making that police officer as wholesome as he or she can be. So training is good, because you can be in a classroom and you can get all the answers correctly, but you also have to deal with people. And right. I believe certainly at Lauderhill, and officers are good officers because they are exposed to their community. They're encouraged to be out in the community and understand the people they're dealing with. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I can say.
Yeah, and from what I'm hearing from Lauderhill, it is true, and you guys live up to that expectation, and the community thanks you for it, and when you have people like, and I'll call her name all the time, Debbie Banner,
Mm.
who is well known and loved in the Lauderhill community. You know,
Yes.
it's a prime example.
Yes.
And even now, as a retired officer, she's still active in the community. So,
Yes.
but all right, going back to the matter at hand.
Yes. Yes.
So, we digress. The warrant, after going through all the necessaries to receive the warrant,
Yeah.
in executing the warrant, it's different with whether it's a search or an arrest warrant.
Correct.
Search warrants have to be specific to locations, whether it be a
Yes.
vehicle or a unit in an apartment complex or a
Yes.
house. It has to be specific to that. And to in the probable cause, to make sure you have probable cause, you have to do the required legwork. You can't
Yes.
you can't present the information to your superior and say, well, I'm thinking that.
No.
I haven't noticed, I haven't gone to the judge yet, because you still have to pass your supervising officer.
Correct.
So I have a hunch
No.
that's
No.
not gonna fly.
No.
Got you. And in executing the warrant, announcing in the state of Florida, it is required in most cases
Correct.
that you announce your presence and what you're there for.
And once you make contact with the person who will authorize you to enter the house, you have your search warrant. I have a search warrant. You are required to read to the person what is in the search warrant, or have them read it. But the statute says you read it to the person. What it is you're wanting to go in and look for. And you're also supposed to leave a copy of that search warrant at that premise, or in that car, or with the person who owns the car.
Tell me something. In executing a search warrant, are you allowed to destroy property?
Under certain circumstances, you may have to destroy property, because if you believe, for example, contraband is behind in a chest of drawers, and you can't open it, and that's where that drugs are hidden, then you have to destroy it. There may be a key to open it, and you ask for the key, and it says, Osman, I don't have the key, or I'm not giving you the key. Then you can destroy it. Yeah.
Now, I asked that question because we're going to rewind the tape a few years back in another state.
Yes.
So we're going to go to 1999 in Oklahoma. And a man is killed in a carjacking, and a white man in a suburban neighborhood of Oklahoma City is killed in a carjacking, and a black man is accused of doing it. And they get warrants to, one, search the premises for the murder weapon, and two, an arrest warrant for the young black man.
Yes.
And they tear this man's family's house to pieces. Mattress is tossed out the upstairs bedroom onto the lawn. The sheetrock, the walls ripped open. Food in the pantry destroyed. And I'm not making this up. This is real. The young man's name is Julius Jones. He had a commutation hearing this morning and went on to the second phase. And I'm in Julius Jones's corner. I'll tell you that off the bat. And I spoke with his sister and best friend just this past week, Wednesday. This past Wednesday. For the second time, I was speaking with them and his attorney, one of his attorneys, Dale Beish. And so they got through the first phase of the commutation hearing. But you can see the documentary. Viola Davis did this documentary, The Last Defense, this docu-series. And it was aired on ABC late last year.
Yes.
And they totally destroyed this house looking for this murder weapon. And something like a mattress being tossed out an upstairs bedroom window. You know, for me, I'd hate to think something like that happens today in executing a search warrant. But back then, I guess times have changed, and now there are points of reprimand that would be in place when officers go to this extreme. Correct?
If you don't mind me asking, what was the murder weapon? Do you know?
It was a gun.
Okay. All I can say is that the conduct of a search must be to the extent that an independent person is satisfied at all means to find the specific property that you're looking for has been taken. So if you're looking for an item that is the size of a
flash drive.
If you're looking for a flash drive, yes, then the extent of the search is going to be more extensive than as opposed to looking for a washing machine.
Got you. Yeah, understandable.
So you're not going to look under the bed for a washing machine. That don't make sense. You're not going to pull up a mattress to look for a washing machine. So there, and when you're conducting a search, it must be to the extent that is required to find the item of property, depending on what it is. But also, the conduct of a search must be done in a way where you respect the people that reside in that home or premises. There should be that respect, because grandma, husband or wife may live in there with their children. You need to show respect, and you're just doing your job. As long as they don't get in the way and obstruct the execution of your duties, then you do that with respect. You communicate with respect, and you leave the premises as at least destroyed as you're able to, or as you're allowed to.
Listen, Richard, I encourage you to watch this documentary. In fact, I saved the original documentary. ABC did a revised version of the documentary and added some information. I had saved the revised version, and you can see it if you go to the website.
Yeah.
justiceforjuliusjones.com. So if you go to the website, you can see the 3-part documentary. They tore up this house. I'm talking about, and if you go back to listen to my initial broadcast with Antoinette Jones, and Jimmy Lawson. Antoinette talks about pancake syrup being and ketchup being and toothpaste being squeezed out of bottles, out of their containers. To that extent, unopened cereal boxes destroyed in the kitchen, the pantry destroyed, the whole interior of the house tore up, and some of it is even on the videos, ridiculous. So I would hate to think that in today's date, when executing a search warrant, things like that happen. But as you said, depending on the item that is being searched for, it
Yes.
could quite possibly lead to that.
Yes. And I don't know the circumstances, so
Yeah.
I can't comment. But
Yeah. I get that. But just that caveat right there, it's important to know.
yes.
Wow. But at the end of the day, you're required as officer of the law to still respect the rights of an individual and treat them like human beings and their property with respect also.
Yes.
Boy, you guys have a tough task. Hey, I tip my hat to you guys all the time, man. But no, after this, I tip my hat some more, because when you look at a gun crime where there's a murder victim and you're chasing down leads and you're being directed to a specific location, excuse me, to find an item, and you're told without a doubt that the murder weapon you're looking for is inside this premises. I'm guessing that emotions will run high, and there would be this sense of determination to find this weapon. And I guess at that point you're gonna employ the by any means necessary philosophy.
Within the law, and you remember, we have homes to go to. When I say that, in executing our duties, we want to go home to our families. And so we will do or should do what is legally necessary to protect ourselves. And as much as we also need to protect others, we also have to protect ourselves and our colleagues.
But if you're feeling like you are doing the right thing.
Yeah. So it's important that we all remember that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If you're feeling like you're doing the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
In your heart of hearts, what you're doing is for the greater good. It is the right thing. And you need to do what you're doing to do your job effectively.
Yeah.
Then you're going to go home with a sense of especially if you do find what it is that you're looking for, you're going to go home with a sense of victory, a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, accomplishment is a good word, but I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, you have victims who leave their homes in the morning and never think that certain things would happen to them.
Right.
And you look at what happens because somebody feels that it's his or her right to do what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And those victims are looking for help. They're looking for someone to provide justice.
Right.
That's what it's all about. So it's not so much, I don't know if the word's accomplishment, but it's about, I don't know, I can't think of the word, but people need support. People need justice. And so when you achieve that for others, it's a good feeling. It still is a good feeling for me. And probably that's why I'm still doing this. But, people need justice.
Yeah.
People, some people don't, well, not some people don't deserve the things that happen because they never asked for it. And someone just thinks they can do what they want, how they want, and they feel they should get away with it. No.
Let me ask you a personal question, Richard.
Yeah.
How do you separate the emotion from the job requirement?
Don't take things personally. Very important. Do not take things personally. Try your best to just separate yourself from the person and just deal with the facts. Mm-hmm. It's important also to remember my job, a police officer's job, is not only to prove someone's guilt, but it also involves proving their innocence.
Yes. This is true.
It's to prove or to disprove. And so if you approach your investigations with that in mind, then you can be balanced in how you make your decisions. It's difficult sometimes, trust me, because some people, the way they carry on, you just think, why? But you've got to separate yourself. No, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
The way some people carry on, it's you just think, all right, that's what you want. But you've got to obviously hold yourself back and remember that, you are an officer of the law and you got to uphold the law and separate yourself from the emotions, despite all the cussing you get and the disrespect. Because there's still people out there who do respect and need you to do your job, or need us to do our jobs.
Yeah. I'm probably going to have to talk to you off the air about some of those emotional separation situations, but I won't pressure you, no. Yeah.
Let me just close on the search warrant, just to let you know, just to let your view. Sorry, I'm saying your viewers, your listeners.
There are some viewers too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Just to let you know that when you execute a search warrant, you are also required to complete what is called a search warrant return and inventory. So what that means is you list what you take from the property. Mm-hmm. You should list that on record, and you should leave a copy at the place that you searched for the person to know what you've taken, and that inventory should be clerked at the court with your warrant. So there is a record, because we may take things, you don't know what we've taken, so we need to show what we've taken, why we've taken it, and it's held securely at the police department as part of the investigation. And if it transpires later on that we don't need that particular item, then it should be returned to you, or it won't be returned to you, subject to what the investigation involves. And after that, you also need to return the executed warrant. So that executed warrant needs to be returned with the inventory. And if you don't execute a warrant and it's unexecuted, it should also be returned to the clerk of the court.
So in the case of a search warrant, that 10 days goes by, you need to hand it over. On the 11th day, you need to hand it back to the clerk.
You should return. And let me read for you. If unexecuted, the officer who obtains a warrant is responsible for its return to the clerk of the court within 10 days after issuance. The concerned officer may request that the judge seal the unexecuted warrant to protect information and investigative techniques which otherwise would become public record prior to arrest or seizures of evidence.
So you don't get to execute that search warrant. You have to return it. You can request that be sealed. And I guess we'd probably have to do another one to talk about a sealed warrant, what that is and how that goes. But do you then, or can you then request another search warrant? or
If
you can
there is,
request an extension on the one that you had before.
no, you'd have to apply for another search warrant.
Got you.
Because the circumstances may have changed, which would require new information that has led you now to feel that you have to get a search warrant again.
Got you.
So that information should be detailed in the application.
Well, Detective Richard Clarke, I want to thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Thank
You're
you
welcome,
for sharing your expertise with us, and we do hope you. I have not yet been disappointed with the Lauderhill Police Department, with any representation from the Lauderhill Police Department that I've had on this broadcast.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, you have represented well, as the other officers have. Sergeant Chauncey Sims, Lieutenant Mike Santiago, Chief Constance Stanley.
Yes.
You know, I've had the luxury, the privilege of having you all on to represent Lauderhill Police Department and the Lauderhill community also, because you also represent them, not just the police department, but the community.
Yes. Yes.
And kudos to you guys. Thank you. Thank you for the information that you've shared with us. I truly, truly, truly appreciate every bit of this lesson.
Do you mind if I call you Kevin?
Not at all. That's my name.
All right, Kevin, I want to thank you, and also thank your listeners and viewers for giving me the opportunity tonight to share what I do. I don't know all the answers, but if I don't have an answer, I can always find someone who will.
Well, I think you represented well, and you presented, you had backup information. So, you know, you had a little backup right there, which is a good thing. It's always a good thing to know that, you know, police officers, whether patrol or detectives, you walk in with your guidebook.
Yeah, I'm a little backative, you know.
Yeah. So nobody can say, you know what, you're just shooting off the top of your head and coming up with arbitrary responses. No. You came prepared.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you. And you have a great night. You take care of yourself, and we'll chat some more, all right?
You too. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Okay. We'll definitely be in touch.
All right, sir. God bless.
All right. Blessings.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it for Community and Finance tonight. Detective Richard Clarke of the Lauderhill Police Department. We were talking warrants, and I guess it's a much needed topic to cover. So if you have any questions, go ahead, post it on your comments in the podcast is now up. So you have the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew podcast that is available on most podcast platforms. It's on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. It's hosted on Anchor.fm, that podcast platform. It's on Spotify. You can get it on Audible by Amazon. You can get it on Amazon Music, on Audible. You can get it. Have I left out anywhere? I don't think I've left out anywhere. But go on Anchor.fm and it'll show you a list of places that you can listen. What is not included on there is TuneIn Radio also. TuneIn Radio has the podcast also. So you have all these different places to check out the podcast. Do subscribe. Do contribute to the podcast. You also have YouTube where you can go back and view the broadcast. So you have all these options available. And as soon as kevinstew.com is back up, there will be links to all of them on the website. Okay? So as we close out the night, we have a little bit of musical therapy. And, well, before that, let me just hit on some quick commercials and then we'll be right back and close out with musical therapy.
Pulse Media Group, innovative streaming and recording, has done it again. A new way to get your business in full view of your neighborhood consumer through AdShare TV. It's available in your neighborhood today. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. Become a host today and place a TV monitor in a strategic location so it's easy to see. Get a 1-minute video ad or longer that plays anywhere in our network. Can't be a host? No problem. For a few dollars, we'll run your 30-second video ad. A host can run announcement specials like buy one get one free or discount ads. Let's turn your flyers into a 30-second video with music or a voiceover, or let us create and run your video ad with a spokesperson. Take advantage of our early enrollment discount. Join us today. Your ad will be seen at least 30 times per day in your AdShare TV neighborhood. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. AdShare TV, part of Pulse Media Group.
Yes, my people. Check out I Red Funks on Reggae Global Radio every Saturday at 8 p.m. with Kev Stew, where I'll give you a pre-life, brand new, good for you. Kick it like a ball if you don't say a dance song. You hear that? Yes, my people. Check out I Red Funks on.
It takes an entire village to raise a child. Hello, I'm Paul Campbell, here to talk about Palace. Peace and Love Academic Scholarship. This non-profit group supports students facing serious obstacles from entering or continuing their studies, not because the grades are failing, but due to the lack of financial support.
Over the past 8 years, Palace has awarded 600 scholarships valued at approximately 50.3 million Jamaican dollars, or 415,000 US dollars.
Together, we must build a better future for our children. Please visit www.palace1.org and make your donation to brighten the future of a deserving child. Palace, preserving young minds for posterity.
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The night shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.
Hey, I'm representing for DJ Kevin Stew, working on the night shift radio show. Won't go changing like the weather, just to please the devil never. Will DJ Kevin Stew sell his soul? That's a word and honor. It's Christine representing word and honor. Selassie DJ Kevin Stew.
Oh, what a place for earth. This is the land of my birth. The one you're happy, every hill, every flat, each and every side. Every Jamaican with that jam down pride. Walk with a Bible or a gun by your side. Better say go up in this Gideon ride. Every street, every lane, uptown to ghetto. The one love concept, you don't know that is the motto. We know why, you know more of the guns are echo. So from bow, your corruption let a Lego. The gang say, welcome to Jamrock, yeah, that's where we be at. The greatest little place on earth. But them no say that, no harm and no freak, no pervert and no weed that at times can be the calmest. More time red hot, still on the place to be. Just hold the order, we know want no more youth. I grow without father. Hustle in the streets, cause things not cheap. I had a feel you never find a place so sweet like down a yard. Enough time the ends no beat, and enough time me feel like can't be beat. But me no do it cause if I want eat, and if I can eat something I go burn. Still me give thanks and me no tweet. And if I will still I hold the faith. Free up the ganja before it's too late. From this system, yeah, we have to break it, microphone everything, even if you migrate. No one you happy, every hill, every flat, each and every side. Every Jamaican with that jam done pride. Walk with a Bible or a gun by your side. Better a gun up in this Gideon ride. Every street, every lane, uptown to ghetto. The one love concept, you don't know that is the motto. We know why, you know more of the guns.
Want to thank you each and everyone for hanging out with us.
Well, Jamaica land we love from rivers to beach.
I want to thank the Gremlins for popping by.
Reach, politician, more action and less speech.
And keeping us on our toes, you know.
Put your big and beseech. When the wages low, the prices then too steep.
The Zone of Ja Patriot, the track is called Blind Justice.
Mothers have to rock and then picnic can go preach. For minimum wage, the ends don't meet. Farmer go till the style because the nation to eat. Parents protect the children.
6 minutes before the top of the hour.
And we don't know Jamaican, we begin with them people.
I want to thank you each and everyone for hanging out with us once again.
We need some more industries, less tourist resorts and some more factories.
I want to say thanks to the affiliates.
How things is, it not take a whiz.
Island Worldwide in New York, NIE Radio in New Jersey, One Harmony Radio in the UK, WGLRO out of Texas, ClintonLindsay.com, the Foundation Radio Network here in South Florida, Ollywop Radio and Dusik Media Group, PEMGTV.com. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Welcome to Jara, yeah, that's where we be at, the greatest little place on earth. But then they said that no harm and no free.
The Zone of Ja Patriot. The track is called Blind Justice.
More time we're at, still at the place to be, just for the order.
As I close out in the musical therapy mix, I want to encourage you to look out for members of your community. Your community is not just a development that you live in, but it spreads far and wide. So those that you pass on the bus, on the plane, on the boat, or the train, whether you walk, ride, or drive, these are members of your community. Do something good for one of them today, because you never know who's going to do something good for you tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, it's Healthy Love Night tomorrow. And I don't know if y'all heard it yet, but the CDC is saying if you're vaccinated, fully vaccinated with the COVID anti-vax, the COVID vaccine, then you can gather without masks. So you all have to be fully vaccinated before this can happen. So if you've never had the vaccine but you've never had the virus, who can you hang out with?
It's a Bible and rock on by your side. But I better circle up, this is the Gideon ride. Every street, every lane, uptown to ghetto. The one low concept, you don't know that is the motto. We know why, you know more of the guns that echo straight from boom, that's corruption. Let go.
This is Novelty. Her former #1 called Keep It Moving. G-Go would say keep it moving and grooving.
Left, right, 3, 4, keep it moving. Keep
Hear this part now. The talent of Howard Perry. Husband producer, or producer husband of Novelty. What a dynamic duo they are.
Tell me.
This is new music from Dark Wisdom.
Thinking of you.
And this is how I leave you tonight. It's called Kissing You.
Not here.
A beautiful arrangement if you ask me.
Baby, this time together we must be.
G. Cole had a chat with Dark Wisdom today.
Taking time.
And y'all can check that out on Homegrown with G. Cole.
Tonight's the night we will share. Turn off the lights, come close to me. Tell me I'm all you ever
For me, I say good morning, good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are in the world. From right here in South Florida, good night.
And if it is, my heart believes that you are mine, and this is real. Oh, kissing you, loving you all through the night. It will be alright. What's better than a love that's made for two? I cannot count the ways I feel for you, but you should know, and starting from today, from this point on, my love is here to stay. Lie close to me, hold on, let's make our love last all night long. Baby, I'm yours, take all of me. I'll never try to bring you down. My love will always be around. Yes, I'm convinced you're all I need. Oh, kissing you, loving you all through the night. It will be alright together.
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The night shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.